In one of the most turbulent, most complex borderlands on the entire planet, there's a unique force standing guard. Now, they're not the regular army, and they're not exactly the police either. Today, we're going to dig into the story and the mission of Pakistan's Frontier Corps.
And that's a huge question, right? The rugged border between Pakistan and Afghanistan, it's not just some line on a map, it's a global hotspot. And the force that's tasked with guarding it has a history that's just as complex and fascinating as the terrain itself. So let's unpack that.
So what exactly is the Frontier Corps? Well, at its heart, the FC is a federal paramilitary force. The best way to think about that is as a kind of hybrid, more heavily armed and organized than your typical police, but they still operate under civilian law, not military law. Their main beat is the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, and their #1 job is securing that border with Afghanistan. But as you're about to see, that's really just the beginning of their story.
Okay, right off the bat, here's something that trips a lot of people up. You've got the Frontier Corps and the Frontier Constabulary, and both are often just called the FC. But listen, they are totally different things. The Frontier Corps, that's our focus today, is paramilitary, it's led by Army officers, and it handles the heavy stuff like border security and counterinsurgency. The Frontier Constabulary, that's a true police force, led by police officers, and it's all about law and order inside the tribal areas. It's a really critical distinction to keep in mind.
To really get what the Frontier Corps is all about today, you have to rewind the clock. We've got to go way back to its roots in the British Empire, because its entire DNA was basically shaped by the strategic chess game of colonial rule on this incredibly volatile frontier.
All right, picture this. The year is 1907. Lord Curzon, who's the Viceroy of British India, is facing a real headache. The border with Afghanistan is this messy patchwork of different local militias and scout units. His solution was to bring them all under a single organized umbrella. He wanted to create one cohesive force to manage this chaotic frontier. And that's how the Frontier Corps was born.
And just look at these names. The Khyber Rifles, the Zab Militia, the Tochi Scouts. These weren't just random names pulled out of a hat, no way. Each one represented a specific tribe or a specific valley. They literally wove the identity of the local people right into the fabric of this new force. And that idea, that principle of local recruitment, would become one of its most defining and frankly most effective features.
This image just takes you right back, doesn't it? What you're seeing here are the Tochi Scouts, one of those original units we just mentioned, out on patrol in the 1930s. It's a powerful reminder that from day one, this was never some ceremonial guard. The Corps was born in conflict, and it has been actively engaged on that frontier ever since.
Okay, let's jump forward in time. Fast forward to 1947. The British Empire is gone, and the nation of Pakistan is born. But the Frontier Corps doesn't just disappear. Instead, it gets a brand new mission, serving the security needs of a brand new country. And this timeline shows some of those key moments. Right after independence in 47, Pakistan expands the Corps. Then you see a major shift in 1975. 3 of its northernmost units were actually absorbed into the regular Pakistan Army, becoming the famous Northern Light Infantry. And that brings us all the way to the most recent big evolution in 2017, when the entire force was split into 2 commands. A really crucial change that we're going to dig into right now.
Now let's bring it into the 21st century, because the whole post-9/11 era absolutely catapulted the Frontier Corps into the global spotlight. Suddenly, they were on the absolute front line of the war on terror, and that dramatically reshaped everything about what they do.
So what was it that made the FC so uniquely perfect for this modern fight? Well, a consensus of U.S. government experts all pointed to the same thing: its local DNA. Because its troops are recruited from the very same areas they patrol, they know the languages, they get the culture, and they have this on-the-ground intelligence advantage that no outside force could ever hope to replicate.
And that strategic importance, it was backed by some serious cash. Just between 2002 and 2007, the United States provided over $7 billion in military aid to Pakistan. A huge chunk of that money was specifically earmarked to equip and train the Frontier Corps for its frontline role in counterinsurgency.
So if you look at their official job description today, it's huge. Their mandate covers everything from the traditional border security stuff to protecting vital infrastructure, all the way to frontline counterterrorism operations right alongside the regular army. They really are a true multi-mission force.
And all of this brings us to the most significant recent development in the FC's long history: the decision to adapt its entire structure to better handle the immense challenges of the region it operates in.
Look, by 2017, it was pretty obvious that a single command structure was just being stretched too thin. The territory was simply too vast, and the security problems in the north were totally different from the ones in the south. So the solution was a strategic split. They created two distinct commands, FC North and FC South.
And this chart really breaks down how distinct they are. You've got FC North, headquartered in Peshawar, which inherited legendary units like the Khyber Rifles to cover the northern areas. And then you have FC South, which set up its HQ down in Wana, absorbing units like the Tochi Scouts to focus on the unique challenges of those southern districts. Each command now has a laser-like focus on its own specific zone.
So what's the big takeaway here? Well, the ultimate goal of this split was specialization. Instead of a one-size-fits-all approach, each command can now tailor its strategy, its operations, and its resources to the very specific security challenges of its region. And that makes the entire force a whole lot more effective.
You know, when you really step back and look at the big picture, the transformation is just remarkable. It's gone from a collection of colonial-era militias to a modern, two-command counterinsurgency force. In so many ways, the story of the Frontier Corps is the story of the turbulent frontier it was created to guard.
And that leaves us with one final thought. Here you have a force that's over a century old, but it's tasked with securing a thoroughly modern and very dangerous frontier. So the question we have to ask is, in a region that is always changing, what new challenges will this historic corps be called on to face next?